Welcome along to another edition of the Winners' Enclosure Goodwood Festival preview, the Qatar Goodwood Festival preview here on the Winners' Enclosure. Eagle-eyed amongst you will realise that myself and Martin have switched roles. I'm now in the Goodwood car park ahead of day three of the meeting. Martin's made his way back to the northwest. So, unfortunately, his phone overheated yesterday in the Goodwood car park, meaning that we had to cut things short. But that's given us a little bit more time to look ahead to Friday and see the evidence as well, Mark, which makes things that little bit easier. The ground conditions have been drying up now. There is the odd possibility of an isolated shower through the course of Thursday, which could ease the ground once again, I suppose, ahead of Friday. Whichever way it goes, we're going to be dealing with quite a slow surface still on Friday.
Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, the first day we were looking at probably heavy ground times on the round course, soft ground times in the sprint races, but I would say that the round course times on the first day, they were all slowly run races, so that was impacting on it. So we were somewhere between soft and heavy on day one, and somewhere between good to soft and soft on day two, after a little bit of rain, but more importantly, there was a lot of wind. It was quite a windy day on the second day, on the Wednesday, and it was, bright and there was sunshine and the ground was drying out. So it has dried out from day one to day two. I'd expect easy side of good again on Thursday, as you say, depending on what happens with the ground. But it'd probably be somewhere similar on the Friday, I think, with what we're looking ahead to. So somewhere between good to soft and soft ground. Obviously, if it stays dry, you'll be looking at more on the good to soft side of that. But there's certainly going to be some give in the ground.
There is. Let's move on to the 225 then, the first of the group races that we're going to have a look at on Friday. The market is headed by Baid. The form book is headed by Baid as well. He's 3 from 3, he's unbeaten. It's a step up in grade for him, but the manner in which he beat some proven group class performers at Newmarket last time out was pretty impressive, really. And he's looked a very good horse right the way through. His form lines are all working out quite nicely. And this is a horse that I'm pretty sure is going to be capable of making his mark at a higher level than Group 3 company. So he's going to be short, but he deserves to be.
He does. I mean, I find it very difficult to see this horse getting beaten, to be honest. He's going to be a very short price. If you're looking for a banker of the day, something to, multiply with some other horses, possibly, if that's the way that you like to operate your betting, then Baid will do. I think he'll do the job. He's very, very talented. I actually saw this horse make a winning debut at Leicester back in the early part of June, and it was remarkable that he managed to win that day because he did everything wrong, missed the break, ended up in a horrible position, and he still came thundering home in the closing stages to win by over a length. And he beat some really good horses at Leicester. He beat Tamam, Night Hunter, Tara Shock. They were second, third, and fifth behind him. They all came out and won their next starts. And since then, Baid has just gone from strength to strength with his two performances, completely dominant in a conditions race at Newmarket, and then again, completely dominant against good horses as well, against proven group performers in a listed contest last time out at Newmarket again. He has the potential to become the best horse in training. There's no two ways about it. The manner of his business, the way that he's gone about things so quickly as well. Within a month of his career, he's already rated 119 after 3 starts, and within 31 days, something like that. It's been a remarkable start, and like I say, he could be something a bit special. So he should win. If you're looking for a betting opportunity, there will be people who prefer each way punting in a dead 8-runner race as it stands at the moment. And I'd give a positive on that score to Tasman Bay of Sir Mark Todd's, who's a horse that's just held his form extremely well. Now, he was second in the King Edward VII Stakes at Royal Ascot last time, over 1.5 miles, but he travelled very strongly that day. I don't worry about him coming back to a mile too much, particularly with some cut in the ground. I think he'll get a positive ride as well in a race where there's not many front runners or any front runners on the face of it. So I could see Tasman Bay picking up place money, but certainly Baid is going to be very, very hard to beat.
Yeah, I think it is good to see a half-brother as well to our old horse Casban, who gave us some good days. It's some family, that, because Hookham obviously is in there as well. Is it Hookham? Pretty sure it's Hookham.
Yeah.
That they're all related to as well. Let's move on to 335. The same Shadwell colours at the top of the market here with Batash, who's looking for a 5th straight win in the King George Qatar Stakes, a Group 2 sprint over the 5 furlongs. This really fast 5 furlongs is ideal for Batash. He is an absolute bundle of energy and brazen speed, is this horse. So this track really does suit him extremely well. We've seen that here over the years. The ground conditions probably softer than you would say are absolutely ideal for a horse like him, but he has done it at this meeting on easy ground in the past. And so I'm going to stick with him. I know he was turned over at Royal Ascot into 4th spot. There was a real pace collapse on that occasion. They went too quick. And given that that was his seasonal return as well, I thought he showed enough to suggest that the old Batash is still all there at the age of 7, having had a little bit of an issue over the course of the last 6 months or so. And for me, he's still the one that they've all got to beat at a track that suits him so very well.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, he went into the King's Stand on his reappearance this season. Now, he did that last year, but it was very different, wasn't it, last year? Because it was the same for every horse in the race, pretty much, because of the delayed start to the flat season in 2020. So, and the fact that he'd had a bit of an interrupted preparation seemed to tell on him late on, as well as the fact that he was involved in what was a very hot pace in the King's Stand. So there were a couple of excuses. He still managed to get his way to the front and travel very strongly through the race, which is what I'd be focusing on as opposed to his defeat in the end, really. In terms of the ground conditions, well, he won the Nunthorpe last year on what Timeform described as good to soft ground. He won the Abbey in 2017 on good to soft ground on the times, and he won this race, the King George Sprint at Goodwood in 2017 on time-based ground that was soft. And he put up one of his career best performances to absolutely power away from them in real good style in a very fast time, relative to other races on the card that day. So he's effective under the conditions. He loves the track. I think he retains his ability. He's going to be exceptionally difficult to beat. We're kind of in Baid territory again here, where it's difficult to sway away from the favourite in terms of a win selection for the race. But backing shortish prices isn't for everybody. So I do want to mention one at a bit an each way price as well. This is a race that's got a history of throwing up some big priced place horses. Ornate actually runs has been placed in it a couple of times at very big prices, but he doesn't look in much form this season. I'd give a positive on this score to Stone of Destiny, who is going to be a big price. He didn't get a clear run through the King's Stand a couple of runs ago. He was only beaten 3.5 lengths. He's been to Goodwood and run some promising races in the past, so I'm not worried about the track. And I think he'll be picking off a few horses late. So Stone of Destiny each way, but as I said, Batash, very much the likely winner.
Stone of Destiny at an absolutely monstrous price. So even if he gets into the frame, just looking at on my screen, he's as big as 80 to 1. So
yeah, there you go.
It's it's a massive price. So well worth taking a look at him. I'm going to stick with Batash, but certainly like the look of that potentially for an each way angle race that I'll delve into a little bit more. Then we move on to the 410, the other group race on the card. This is the Queen's Plate Glorious Stakes. And we're over 1.5 miles here. Mogul is the standard setter on form here, Mark. The question is, where do we stand with him? Because 3 starts since he won that Group 1 at Chartin back in December, he hasn't fully fired. He ran all right in France in May, but he bombed out completely at Epsom last time out, and that was on slow ground. So I think there is a little bit of a question mark about him, given the conditions at the price that he is.
I'd say a pretty big question mark. I think this is a favourite that, yeah, you can accept that he's got the ability to win and he may go and do that job, but I couldn't be with him as a relatively shortish price favourite. Even if he's taking a drop in class and he's sort of potentially just much superior, as you say, totally bombed out at Epsom, and he was beaten by horses that in theory he should have been beating, but he was beaten a long way on his most recent start. His best form's come on quicker ground, so he would really need it to dry out. So there's plenty of concerns there. I mean, Yukon Glen is an absolute superstar. He's got a £3 penalty to carry, but he's had an amazing season. He's won the Brigadier Gerard and the listed contest at Sandown on his most recent start. He's effective at anywhere between 1.25 miles and 1.75 miles, really. And he's even got form over 2 miles, actually, hasn't he? So anywhere between 10 furlong and 2 mile, really, you can run. Yukon Glen. And like I say, seems to be in the form of his life so far this season. So he's got to have a chance. I think I'll stick with him, to be honest, the old boy Yukon Glen, just because of the current form that he's in. And he's been written off a couple of times already this year. He went off 20-1 for the Brigadier Gerard, won by 4 1/4 lengths. And then he went through that listed race last time out. And it wasn't the strongest of listed races, but he had a penalty to carry. He was giving weight all round, and he completely blitzed them up the home straight. So I'm going to stick with Yukon Glen to run another big race, I think, Chris.
Okay, I thought Without a Fight might run well for Simon and Ed Crisford. Andrea Atzeni, he ran pretty well at Ascot when he was last seen back in May. Stabler in good form. He's had a bit of a freshen up. Pablo Escobar won the race last year, though I suspect it'll take a better performance to win it this time around, and he hasn't been in the quite top of his form recently. I'm going to go with Passion and Glory, though, a horse that really is in top form. He's on the up, and he's from a stable that's going well with Oisin Murphy booked for the ride. Oisin already knows him, having won on him at Lingfield on the all-weather back in June. He quickly followed up at Ascot. It was in a small field, but he did clock a pretty good time on that occasion under Ray Dawson. He's a horse that was on the up a couple of years back, and then he went missing for a long time. Must have been a problem. Kind of horse that they might have given up on, but they obviously thought plenty of him to keep him in training as an older horse, give him the time to get over whatever those issues were, and it seems to be paying dividends. So I wonder whether he might just take the step up in grade in his stride. And I'm going to go with Passion and Glory in the 410. That is the Glorious Stakes. So that's what we've got in store. Quick other couple of things to mention, Mark. We'll start with Ross Collin, a horse that obviously we own under our Horse Watchers syndicate. He's in the Golden Mile on Friday. Very much looking forward to seeing him run. Quick turnaround for him after that listed race, second at Pontefract on Sunday, but he's come out of that really well. We've got a nice draw, and he's proven on the track. So, yes, it's going to be tough in a very competitive race, but we've got to be looking forward to seeing him in action.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's won at Goodwood comfortably already this season over 7 furlongs. We've seen him prove himself over a stiff mile at Ponty at the weekend. He's in really good form. Oisin's in the saddle, stall 8. You couldn't ask for much more, could you, really? We couldn't ask for much more. The likes of May Danny and Carter, the 2 Johnston horses are in there, and plenty of pace horses just in front of him. So hopefully we just slot in to a handy position behind the pace, and he should run well, shouldn't he? But it's a valuable 22 runner handicap. It's going to be tough, but I certainly go there looking forward to it and with some optimism. And it's worth mentioning Saturday's card as well, just quickly. Obviously, decks aren't in yet as we're recording this, so it's difficult to give a full preview. But the highlights are going to be the Lily Langtry Stakes at 3:05 on Saturday. And wonderful tonight. He's a filly that's obviously out of the top draw. She's won Group 1 races. She won the Hardwick on her comeback run at Royal Ascot when she beat Broome, and she was a pretty comfortable winner that day against the boys. She's won 4 of her last 5 starts. She's been really progressive. She loved soft ground. She missed the King George last week because the ground was a little bit too quick for her. And I think David Munuzier made the right call there, because she needs a little bit of it give underfoot. She's going to get that on Saturday, and she's very much the filly to beat in the Group 2 Lily Langtry Stakes. That comes at 3:05 on Saturday.
Okay, thanks, Mark. That's a look ahead to Saturday. I ain't got round to looking at that yet, just principally because I've been in the car for most of the last day, and I'm about to get out for the first time in a little while, get the legs moving. Looking forward to the next day ahead at Goodwood. Looking forward to Friday, as we've just previewed. Remember to enjoy all of the action and bet responsibly if that's the way that you're enhancing your enjoyment of the racing action during the Qatar Goodwood Festival. And we'll be seeing you once again pretty soon. Thanks, Mark.